So we're going to be in a seated position to start with, but we are going to possibly use pillows or bolsters. And then I also have blocks and my blanket. So all the things today. So if you don't have any of those things, try to kind of find something creative to make do. And we're going to start in seated today. If you want to be in crisscross applesauce to start with, that's great. What I want you to notice in this position is, to start with, let's go ahead and just have 1 foot forward. So I'm going to have my right foot forward and my left foot back. So I'm just kind of stacking 1 foot in front of the other here. And then just seeing, are both my sit bones on the ground? Are they balanced? Coming into that body, being aware of this space. And so as we start to be quiet in our physical movements for a moment here, just start to notice what pops into your mind. One of my favorite things to do lately when I can't sleep or when my mind is just reeling, which has been continuous for the last couple weeks, is to name things. So when a thought comes up, we can name it as, oh, I just went into the future, I'm staying in the present moment, or that was in the past. So as we are just still here, notice a thought come up, name it, and if it's in the present, meaning you thought about something in your body without judgment, then try to stay in that space. And if the sound comes into your room or your space and your mind bounces to it and it's frustrating or you wish it wasn't there, recognize that's judgment. And what we can do is just notice it, say, I know what that is, I'm in the present moment, and I'm drawing back to my breath or a physical sensation in my body. One more moment here, just naming future, present, past. And on your next breath in, go ahead and let your belly move forward, your chest move forward. Think about your shoulder blades squeezing towards each other gently. Notice the heads of your arm bones going back. You get a little bit of expansion through your chest, and then start to look up. Bring your chin towards center as if you were looking out to the horizon, not up or down. Start to shift your ribs over to the right. Then you're going to draw your ribs back. Bring your chin towards your chest for a moment. Look up at the horizon again. Shift your ribs to the left. Move forward. Ribs to the right. Back, side, front. And as you go, notice what you feel in your spine first off. And then notice what happens with the head and neck. Does it tuck or look up naturally as you go? Or does it stay kind of looking out at the horizon? about what your upper body's doing here. So what's happening in the tops of your shoulders? What's happening in your rib cage? And then pausing at center, allowing yourself to go back, bringing chin towards chest. Then look at the horizon again. Pop your ribs out to the right. Forward, look up just slightly. Then look at the horizon. Over to the left and back. And you're reversing your churning the butter kind of pose here. Noticing how this side feels different than the other. Pausing at center, soften the shoulders, notice your sit bones once again. Then go ahead and move your belly forward. Notice if you can tell your sits bones going back in space just slightly. Maybe walk the hands out in front, or if that doesn't work for you, maybe grab blocks. And we'll go ahead and walk the hands out in front here. So you might be doing a little, you might be doing a lot, but just kind of being aware, do I feel this in my hips? And if you have your right foot forward, most likely you're gonna feel it in your right hip. If it doesn't feel good, if the intuition says no thank you, then back off and make it your own. Maybe you use those blocks in a bigger way. Maybe you use a chair. We're gonna stay here for 4 breaths. If you need to pulse in and out of it, go ahead and do so. On your next inhale, go ahead and come on up, walking your hands back towards your body. And then we're gonna flip the feet. So if you have right foot in front, let's take the left foot in front, the right foot back. So just doing opposite with your feet. And then we'll do the same thing, walking out in front with the blocks or the hands. Definitely notice for me, my body changes a ton. I have to do a lot less on this side. So just being aware. Tail back, sits bones back, and then the belly and the chest go forward. We'll take 2 more breaths here. As you exhale, is the body ready to do a little bit more? On your next inhale, make your way on out of the position. And then we're going to come into seated on our knees. I know this doesn't work for everyone, but if it does, let's go ahead and attempt it. So I'm going to sit on 2 blocks. Get my knees kind of wrapped around the blocks and then sit tall here. If one block feels better for you, or you can sit on a chair, or crisscross applesauce is fine. It's just that you won't be able to reach as far down. So we just want to lift ourselves up a little bit, okay? So from here, we're going to first off take our left hand to the top of our right shoulder. And we did this last week. We're just going to kind of squeeze the upper shoulder just a little bit. So not so the hand is cramping, but just give it a gentle squeeze. And then see if you can lift your right arm up and down, maybe with a bent elbow. Seeing if you can feel the top of your shoulder blade. And this doesn't have to be scientific or perfect in any way, but just see if you can feel some motion in that shoulder blade. As you lift the elbow up, the shoulder blade is going to move up a little bit. And then see if you can come towards your spine just slightly. And see if you can give just a little bit of pressure into the space, a little bit closer to your spine, but still close to the shoulder blade. All right, and then from there, let's go ahead and relax and drop the hands. We're going to bring the left ear to our left shoulder, and then we're going to slightly look down. Our left hand could, if you need to, or if you want to, bring that left hand just to the side of the head here. So first off, make sure we're doing it right. Head center, head's in line with the spine. Left ear to left shoulder. Then we start to look down, kind of towards our left knee. Maybe imagine a left pocket in the front of your pants to look down at. And then that left hand comes to the ear or the top of the head, the side of the head. From there, that might feel a lot for you, especially in the back of or upper shoulder, and that's where we're looking for it. This muscle we're targeting also is here. It connects into the upper side of the neck, so you might feel it there. If you want to intensify this stretch, you're going to reach down through your right fingertips. And what we need to do to feel the stretch even deeper is depress the scapula. So the shoulder blade draws down the back some, and usually by reaching down through the fingertips, you might be able to lengthen it a little bit more. The hands might walk out to the side, or if you really want to go for it today, the right hand can move to the low back. And then it might walk to the space where your belly and thigh meet. And if you need to come out and take a break, especially if there's any pinching or cramping, do so, and then see if it's okay just to gently enter in again. Breath in, breath out. Soften the tops of the shoulders, especially that right one. Inhale, come on out. Exhale, bring the hands to the knees. It's a little cat-cow here, bringing the belly forward, the chest forward, looking on up. Shoulders, heads of the arm bones go back. Exhale, round. A few more times, just enjoying that flow of your spine. As you flow, hopefully you can just feel the spine and move with the breath. But sometimes the brain wants to be on and we have thoughts. And you can just notice the thought and name it as past, present, or future. Non-judgmental. And last time, make it the deepest breath you've brought into your body. Just energy flow down into your toes even. And then as you exhale, big breath out. Push all the breath out here. Inhale, allow yourself to come back to center. The head is going to be in line with the spine. So if the chin is forward of the chest or of the spine, the head, you're going to drop back just slightly. Nice long through your spine. Let's go to the other side. So first we bring the right ear to the right shoulder. Then we start to look down towards the ground, maybe a little bit towards our right knee, or maybe we pretend we have a pocket in the front of our pants. Right hand could come to the side of the neck if you feel like it's a good idea. So sometimes this can be too intense, right? And then from there, we can reach down through our left fingertips, maybe reaching to the ground or away, a little bit away, or possibly bringing the left hand to the low back, or reaching it to the crease where your belly and thigh meet. Remember, if we're not feeling anything here, especially at the top of the shoulder, maybe you feel it in the upper side of your neck, we can depress that left scapula. So the shoulder blade has to be actively drawing down or headed down because this muscle, the levator scapulae, connects into that shoulder blade. And it can be, so finicky on so many of us. So it takes a moment for us to really get into it. That's why we're staying here a bit. One more nice deep breath in. And letting the breath all the way out, bringing that head on up, returning the hands to the legs. And let's go ahead and find ourselves on our back here. Well, before we head all the way there, let's go ahead and bring either a blanket or a bolster out to the side. And we'll end up on our backs. Let's go ahead and inhale, bring our fingertips up to the sky. Point our palms towards our feet. And then as we exhale, start to bring the arms nice and slow up over the head. If the arms or the hands don't want to drop comfortably on the ground, try a nice cactus position, see if that feels all right. If that still doesn't feel all right, try T position, okay? So palms up, no matter what position you're in. And then see if it's all right to take legs long here. We'll go into our banana shape, taking our feet over to the right first. So feet go to the right. And then possibly hands walk to the right. And maybe head walks to the right. And we just keep on going, imagining as if our feet and our hands are going to touch someday. And so now you're like in the C of the YMCA, right? You're like YMCA, and you're the C, okay? And then go ahead and just keep on creeping with your hands and your feet and your head, and see how far you can go today. Like you've had a few glasses of wine or whatever yoga class, and you're feeling really bendy and really silly, and you just really go for it. You just keep on creeping those fingers and toes a little bit closer towards each other. And at some point the body's like, all right, you've had enough, and then we'll take 2 breaths here. Deep into that left side body. And then on your next inhale, you're going to creep yourself back to center. Walking your feet back to center, your arms back to center. Let's bring our arms by our sides once again. Draw our feet to the ground. Have your feet close to the pelvis, at least hip distance apart. Push down through those feet. Start to lift the pelvis a little bit. See how bridge pose is going to feel. Maybe you go way up high. It might feel good today. Push down through the outside edges of your feet and your heels, really drawing the pelvis on up. Thinking about maybe wiggling one shoulder blade a little bit closer to the other, but be cautious because that could cause some cramping or some misguided tension or pain. So choose wisely, friends. And then let's slowly draw ourselves back on down to the mat. Bringing our knees into our chest, hug those knees in, drawing the right knee in just a little bit more than the left, hugging that right knee in, and then getting long through that left leg. Seeing if we can feel a stretch through the right slow back. And because I have the world's tightest hip flexors, I feel it in the front of my left leg hip. That's me being present though. That's me having body awareness. That's what we're looking for. We're just trying not to judge it. Soften the shoulders. Take one more breath in here. And as you breathe out, switch sides, drawing right leg long, left knee slowly into that chest, hug it in, grabbing hold of the knee or the back of the leg, draw it in, soften the shoulders, get long through your right leg. See if you feel it in the low back, especially on that left side. Soften shoulders. Give me a deep breath here. Letting all the breath out. Bringing one foot back to the mat. Both feet back to the mat. Take your feet together, bottoms of the feet together. Let your knees draw out to the side for butterfly pose. Sometimes this doesn't feel good for my hips, so if that's the case with you, let's go ahead and draw the knees together just slightly, taking a nice deep breath in, and then as you exhale, let the knees drop. If it feels best for you just to let the knees drop and dangle, that's fine. But if it feels better to inhale, draw the knees in just slightly together, great, and exhale, drop. You've got 3 more breaths to go there, either moving the knees or just pausing. And on your next breath in, we're going to bring those knees for everybody back to center. Take those legs long. Bring your arms up over your head. And then here we go with our C to the other side, walking your hands over to the left, your feet over to the left. And you just keep on going, seeing how far you can go today, walking those feet, those hands, the head over to the left, really going for it, but checking in with the body all at the same time. This would be like if you were massage drunk or like had that second or third glass of wine and you got really confused on your YMCA and you did your C to the wrong shape, the wrong side, right? But you still went with it. You were still proud of your C and you just kept on going even though you weren't with the rest of the group. And we'll take another nice deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more breath here. Good, allowing your hands and feet to come back to center, bringing those feet to the mats, the arms by the sides. Here's where your blanket or your bolster will come into play. You're going to push down through your feet, lift your pelvis on up, get the blanket or bolster or possibly block up underneath your pelvis. you drop into it and it feels dreamy. And you could stay there for some time. And if it doesn't feel dreamy, then see if you can move it around, up or down just slightly, looking for the perfect, dreamy, restorative pose for you. And your choices here are to take one leg long, so say it's your right leg. Maybe your left leg goes long. You check that out. And if it's not okay to take both legs long, you're going to draw your left knee into your chest and do it that way. If it feels best to you to keep your legs long, great, let's stay there. And then maybe bring your arms up overhead. So you're coming into a back bendy shape here. You might have to adjust your prop accordingly. We'll take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, if you're not already, drag your left knee into your chest, hug that left knee in, and exhale, draw it long. Same thing to the other side. Inhale, right knee into the chest, hug it in. Exhale, take it long. Now, if this is bothering your low back, try it without the bolster, without the thing, or bring your hands by your sides. Keep going. Inhale, left knee in, hug it in. Exhale, draw it down. Same thing, other side. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, take it long. Okay, keep going here. And let's see if we can use the front of the leg and front of the hip to draw that knee into our chest. But also the space right below the navel is going to assist us on bringing that knee into the chest. So the whole front of the body is assisting on drawing the knee in. And you've got 2 more to go on each side. Connect with the breath here. Last side. Alright, walking those feet back up underneath you, drawing those hands by the sides. If you haven't already, lift the pelvis up, get your prop out of the way. Drop your pelvis on down, and let's bring both of our knees together and hug them in here. Maybe a nice sway side to side. Next time you roll over to the side, let's come all the way up. And we'll be on our hands and knees, so if you want that blanket, you can do so. Just the garments. All right, from here, once we get those hands underneath the shoulders or a certain space that feels right for our arms, let's go ahead and melt our heart. Look up slightly, let your tail go way up to the sky. And then as you exhale, really tuck that tail way, way under. Draw your navel towards your spine. Bring your lowest ribs up to the sky and tuck that chin towards the chest. On your next breath in, tail up, belly drops. Chest drops. You feel your shoulder blades come closer to your spine. And lastly, if you choose, head comes up. Push through those hands, round that tail, tuck it way under. Bring your lowest ribs up to the sky and bring that chin to the chest. And then flow with your breath here. Inhaling and exhaling. Notice what comes into the mind. Does it get busy? Does it track to things off of your mat? Then let's just name it. Past, future, or present. We'll do our best to stay in the present moment. But if we don't, remember, life is not perfect. We are not perfect. Darn it. And we go with the flow. Last time here, really get into that cat. Really tuck that tail under. Draw your navel towards your spine. Push through those hands. Bring your chin towards your chest. And then come back to your tabletop position. From here, let's grab our blocks and let them be those extensions of our hands. Find a nice spot for those. The knees are right up underneath our pelvis right now. And then we're going to take our right foot in between the blocks. Once your right foot gets in between the blocks, we'll push down through it, lift ourselves out of the pose and hands to the knees. From there, we're going to keep our left hand to the outside of our right knee. So left hand to the outside of right knee. From here, you can bring your right arm out to the side. Palm's going to face towards the front of the room. And then as you breathe in, see if it wants to start to track to the back of the room. Reaching back behind you. Now you're going to go as far as your body's going to take you into the twist. Then your mind's going to come back up to this left hand. And you're going to push the hand, taking the knee towards the midline. But then the knee's going to resist and push back into the hand. So the knee and the hand are in a little bit of a duo. And they're both winning though equally. So the hand pushes in, the knee pushes out, and then see if you can deepen into your twist anymore. Breath in. Breath out. Coming back on out. Bringing the hands to the knees or to the blocks. And then we'll switch sides and do the same thing to the other side. Once you arrive, the left foot will be in between the blocks. Bring the hands to the knees when you're ready, the knees underneath the pelvis. We'll bring the right hand to the outside of that left knee. And then we'll bring the left hand out to the side to start. Palm forward, hand in line with the shoulder possibly. And then start to track it back. And the gaze is going to watch it go. So they're going to stay in line, the gaze and the hand. Then draw your awareness back to your front knee. The hand's going to try to push the knee to the midline. The knee resists and push back into the hand. Go ahead and start to open as much as you can, keeping the resistance in the front leg. Seeing if you can open a little bit deeper in the chest. The belly turns to the left, chest to the left, head to the left. One breath here. Soften the tops of your shoulders and your jaw. Let the breath all the way out and stay. Draw your navel towards your spine. Push all of the breath out. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, return yourself to all fours. Let's move our blocks to the side for just a moment. Come into our child's pose, kissing those big toes together, letting the knees come wide, walking ourselves way, way, way out in front, melting the heart and head to the ground. Let's stay there for 3 breaths, just thinking about how much can our heart melt down to the ground. On your next breath out, wait for it, push all of the breath out. And as you inhale, let's go ahead and come back up to all 4s. This time, we're going to find puppy pose. So, taking your hands first as wide as the mat. So let's try that first and see how it goes. And then we're going to walk our hands towards the front of the mat. Start to melt our heart. Most of us will drop to our forearms, our upper arms, and then see about a little cat-cow here in our puppy pose. Some of you might be able to keep those arms straight and then melt the heart. Some of you might be able to back out of that and take your knees a little bit further back behind you and then melt your heart and drop your head to the ground or your chin. Now, if you get into this position and your arms feel wonky, then try different things out. Coming out of the pose, taking your hands right out in front of you, or maybe even wider off of the mat, melting your heart and head, and just playing a little bit here, seeing what allows you to really get into your upper spine. And if you want to use your bolster, just so you don't go so deep, you can sure do that. Once you find a position that's going to work for you, we'll pause here. And then we'll inhale, slowly walk ourselves out of the pose. And from here, we'll take our 2 blocks again, and they're gonna go back towards your feet. So back towards your ankles. And then we'll end up on our knees with a nice long torso here. So I always try to do this with my blanket, and it never quite works out for me. So I'm going to adjust accordingly, bring my blanket a little bit higher so that my knees are just on the edge of the blanket, the back side. Blocks are going to be about at our ankles or our shins. And then we're going to curl our toes under so that the pads of our toes are on the mat. From here, we're going to reach back with our right fingertips to the block on the right side. So reach back with right fingertips, find that block, reach left arm out in front of you. Your palm's going to be towards the midline to start. And then see if you can drop your weight. So your hips are going to come a little bit forward. You're going to start to bring your left arm up to the sky a little bit more and drop more weight into your right block, your right hand into your right block. Then start to bring that left arm up. Maybe it's directly up to the sky or maybe a little bit over to the right. Start to open your heart and chest. See if you can come out of the pose just a little bit if you're deep in it, and tuck your tail under, shift your hips a little bit forward, then draw your left arm back behind you. Start to open on up through the chest. We'll take a nice deep breath in here, and exhale, come out. Reaching the left hand forward, letting you come out of the pose. And we'll switch sides. Left fingertips onto the block to start with. Reach right fingertips out in front of you. Start to lift your hips forward, open up through your chest, and then more weight will go onto that left hand. As you reach your right hand up to the sky, lift your hips, push your hips a little bit forward, and tuck your tail under, and then reach up and maybe a little bit to the left. Your chin can be tucked if it hurts your neck, or you can let your neck just drop back, whatever feels like it feels good to you, right? We'll take a deep breath in, really reaching up and back with your right fingertips. And breath in, reach forward with your right hand. Let the momentum take you out of the pose. Other side you go. Left hand back to the block. Reach arm up and forward. Start to open up through the chest. Tuck tail under, push your hips forward, but noticing what feels good to you. Open chest, heart opens, head might go back or chin can stay tucked. Breath in, breath out. Moving left hand forward, we'll switch sides. Left fingertips to the block, right fingertips up, over, tuck tail, hips move forward, open through the chest. One more time, reach the right fingertips forward, come out of the pose. Right hand to the block, left arm up, tuck your tail, move your hips forward, open up through your heart, your chest. Think about opening your chest towards the sky and even broadening it some. Chin can be towards the chest or open up through the throat. Reach left fingertips forward. Switch sides. Left hand to the block. Right hand forward. Reach it up. Tuck tail, hips forward. Back and open. Notice what the head wants to do. Honor it. Breath in. Breath out, reach right fingertips forward, come out of the pose. And we're gonna go into child's pose, but if you feel like you just really need a full camel pose, bringing both hands to the hips, opening chest, you sure can. Otherwise, we're gonna come into child's pose, toes together, knees apart, walking the hands forward, melting your heart. Let's take 3 breaths there. On your next inhale, allow yourself to come up to all fours. And then this is where our bolsters or our pillows or our couch cushion comes into play. So I've got my blanket here for my knees and my cushions at the top of my mat. I'm going to come onto the left hip here, and my knees are both going to be pointed to the left. From here, we're going to get the cushions right up against that left hip, so we'll wiggle them closer to us or our body closer to the cushions. My left hand is going to find the side of the cushion, and then maybe we start to turn our torso down towards the blocks or down towards the prop. And then you might be able to start to walk the hands a little bit higher to the top of the mat and drop your heart and belly and head. And then your head's gonna turn to the right. Okay, so from here, If that doesn't feel okay, you're gonna come into supported child's pose with your toes together, knees apart, pillows right between your legs, and drop over those pillows. But if a twisted, supported twist feels all right, you're gonna allow the belly and chest and heart to just keep on melting into your prop. You've got another breath here. Make it big. Then if it feels all right, we're going to lift our head just slightly on an inhale. Look down at our bolster and then start to see about turning our head to the left. And for most of us, the body's going to say, oh, hell no. But we might try just a little bit to look. Some of you, it's going to be easy and you'll drop to your right ear. But most of us will just give it a try and then coming back to looking to the right, dropping into the left ear. But just trying it out, seeing what the body has to say. Some days we surprise ourselves and we can just settle on in, looking to the left. But again, we're going to choose wisely. We're going to stay here and feel the support of our props for 3 breaths. If the mind can't stay in the present moment on the breath, that's okay. We're just going to play the game of past, future, present, naming our thoughts. On your next inhale, come on up, allowing yourself to come out of the pose really slow, lifting yourself out, and then we'll switch sides. So for you, you're just going to be able to switch sides most likely, but I'm going to take my bolsters to the other side, and then end up on the right hip, knees pointing to the right. Then we get our bolsters close to our pelvis. Our right hand's going to come to about the middle of our bolster. Place that right hand down. Then we're going to see about a turn and twist of sternum and belly towards the props. Left hand's going to see about coming down. And then we'll slowly walk our hands to the front of the mat, letting our belly, chest, head dive on down. Make sure it's cozy, so get curious, see what feels just right for you. Your gaze is going to be to the left to start with. We're going to stay here for a couple breaths. Just allowing yourself to settle in. Inhale if you choose. We're going to lift our head just slightly. Start to look down at the bolster or the prop. And then you might see about turning to the right just a little bit. You might just try it out and then say, nope, I'm going to go back to my right ear. Or if this side's feeling nice and open, you're going to turn your head to the right and then drop that left ear to the pillow. You might try it for a few moments, or you might stay. next inhale, go ahead and fill up your belly with your breath and see if you can feel that breath push into the props. And then exhale, let all the breath out, drawing navel way deep towards the spine. And on your next breath in, you're going to lift yourself slowly out of the pose. And we'll find ourselves coming to child's pose, but it could be supported child's pose. To do supported child's pose, we're going to grab our 2 blocks. We're going to lift up our props and do some kind of secure setting. So for me to feel safe and be able to settle into this, I like both of my blocks on the same setting, kind of middle setting, but some people feel secure with the top one higher and the other one lower. So you can kind of decide what allows you to drop into this space and feel the most supported. From there, you're going to take your bolsters right between your knees and then let your belly get long. So you're going to walk your hands towards the top of the mat. Think about your spine getting long and then drop your head, whatever way it wants to go, into the props. From there, you can keep your hands where they're at, or now you've got this little bit of a pocket, and your hands can give the bolsters a hug, which, come on, we need a lot of hugs these days, and however we can get them, let's take them. Remember back in the day when we first started learning that seat belts were important, they told us as kids that the seat belt was there to give us a hug. So we just allow the bolsters to give us a hug, and we settle on in. That doesn't feel good to you. Remember, you can just do child's pose without the props. Notice where the mind went to. Does it stay in the present of just enjoying sinking into these props? Or is it busy? And don't criticize yourself if your mind's busy. That's okay. That's our practice, just being aware. And then you can name your thoughts without judgment, past, present, future. And just see if you can feel your breath as it comes down into your belly, gently pushing into the props. And as you exhale, the belly softens and lets go. 2 more breaths here. On your next breath in, let's push ourselves slowly out of the pose and get ourselves into our Shavasana. You might take your bolsters and your props and put them up underneath your knees and end up on your back here. Settle on into our Shavasana. And just remembering, so personally for myself, when I first started yoga and the teacher, instructor mentioned naming my thoughts, like I had 20 thoughts coming through my mind, or what it felt like at the same time. And so if that's you, then just know that you're not alone. And then over time, we build these practices that allow us to build awareness, and then hopefully the mind slowly unwinds. And then we can notice one thought and name it, and notice another thought and be with it and name it. And let's really think about us managing our minds as opposed to trying to control them or just being our minds. Remember, we're our whole system, a whole beloved system. So if it works for you for the next few minutes here to just name your thoughts, even if it's a lot of naming, that's okay. Past, present, future. On your next inhale, let's start to deepen the breath. Maybe roll your ankles around a little bit, rolling in a positive way. One way and then the other. Pausing with the ankles and the toes and the feet. Maybe we move our fingers around a little bit. Maybe today it feels good to be in the arms a little bit. And pausing with that. Allowing yourself to roll on over to a side. And let's go ahead and make our way on up to seated, maybe sitting on something. Remember, you always have that choice to stay in Shavasana or stay on your side a little bit longer. If you choose to be in that seated position, let's get ourselves seated appropriately so that we can feel, or at least imagine, our sit bones once again being balanced on each side, being long through our spine, dropping our shoulders away from our ears, letting the head be in line with the spine so it's not forward. Let's bring our right ear to our right shoulder. Start to look down towards our right knee. Thinking about our left shoulder dropping. Breath in, breath out. Inhaling, coming back to center. Exhaling left ear to left shoulder. Start to look down towards your left knee. You let that right shoulder dropping and being heavy. Doesn't have to feel like a huge stretch right now. Just saying hello to the neck. Inhaling, coming back up to center. Hands can be on the knees or heart center. Breath in, look up just slightly. Deep breath out for a bow. Rounding your chin towards your chest, letting your lowest ribs go back. Taking a moment to appreciate that you took this time to slow down, to move that energy throughout your body with your breath, and taking that time to manage and work with the mind. Thank you for being here today. Namaste.